Did Wes Unseld Jr.'s staff break Johnny Davis' shot? And can Brian Keefe fix it? We're going to talk about that and look at the Brooklyn Nets preview for tomorrow night. Come on, man. Rock with your boy tonight on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again, and I appreciate you guys making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. It is NFL Sunday, man, but we're going to still talk about some Wizards, man. If you're a Commanders fan, really good game. It was a loss, but really good game, and be more. But let's talk about our Wizards tonight. The curious case of Johnny Davis. Did Wes Unseld Jr. staff break his shot? And can head coach Brian Keefe fix it? We're going to kind of look at that. We're going to look at a Brooklyn Nets preview for tomorrow night. And we're going to look at what is the best lineup we've seen so far. Can Keyshawn George be that starter, or is Kyle Kuzma best served at small forward? We're going to take a look at all that and more. So let's start with Johnny Davis. Now, Johnny Davis' vocal, he had a conversation with Josh Robbins of The Athletic. And this is through Josh Robbins via Hoops Hype. Shout out to Hoops Hype, man. A lot of good content with the Washington Wizards, man. Was able to see him at Media Day, man. He does really good work with content and covering the Washington Wizards, man. So if you don't follow his content, definitely do so, man, because he definitely keeps you up to date. All right, so the comment that Johnny Davis told was, quote unquote, the past 2 years, Davis told The Athletic on Sunday night, a development coach from each year has been tinkering with my shot, messing with it. So I came back into this year and I said, nobody's touched my jump shot. I'm just going to leave it as it is, leave it comfortable. And they left me alone about it. So it feels really good right now. I've been working on it the whole summer, so I'm just glad to see it pay off. So let's respond to that. Now, who's at fault for the shot? Now, like I said, I think we all kind of knew this was what's going on. You know, I kind of mentioned it over the previous years that they were messing with the shot. You saw it. Like I said, there was times where I went down to cover the team, especially last year, where even last year you saw a different jump shot each week. And like I said, I had the luxury to watch him and Bilal shoot around after practices. Man, like I said, Johnny Davis' shot has changed different ways. So let's take a look at his stats at Wisconsin, because if you look at his shot at Wisconsin, it was not a broken shot. It was a fluid shot. Now, let's take a look at his stats real quick. 2 years in Wisconsin. Now, his first year as a freshman was 2020 to 2021 season, where he played 31 games but started 0, so he was on the bench, where he averaged 24 minutes a night. That he did shoot 44% from field goal and 38% from three, averaging 7 points a game. Now, if you look at how many attempts, is 1.5 attempts per game. He was not, per se, a three-point shooter. Now, can he hit those shots? Absolutely. I think we all know he can hit that shot, but he is more of a mid-range guy, a guy who, again, I've covered this time and time again, that he doesn't have the speed. He's going to blow past many defenders on the NBA level, but with his footwork, he finds ways to get himself in the best position to score. He's a scoring-minded two guard. And when they tried to make him a point guard, that's when it all went downhill, in my opinion. He's not a point guard. He's not a point guard. He's a two guard. He didn't play point at Wisconsin, and I don't really know why you would change that in the NBA. Play him to his strengths, and I feel like Wes Unseld Jr. and his staff did not do so. And you see, this is not the first example. There's other players that were brought in via the draft, and they didn't play them to their strengths. If you look at Scotty Brooks and Denny Avia, his first year, in his rookie year, where they played Denny as primarily as a catch-and-shoot guy, which is okay if he was a shooter, and which we know his offense, his jump shot, especially mid-range three-point, man, was something that had to be progressed over time. His rookie year, he was not in a position to be a catch-and-shoot guy or a 3-and-D guy. He only had a D. He ain't had the 3. So, you got to play these guys to the strengths. And Wes Unseld Jr., we all know a lot of his issues. I'm not going to kick a man while he's down. Obviously, he's now an assistant coach for the Chicago Bulls, but stagnant with the lineups. There's many different issues, but the biggest thing was I don't feel like he played a lot of these young guys to their strengths. You didn't see it with Denny. You didn't see it with Rui. You didn't see it with Johnny Davis. Corey Kispert is who he is. He's going to be good in most systems because most systems need a shooter. They need a guy with a high basketball IQ, a guy who can move without the basketball. So he's going to prosper in most places, man. But so who's at fault? I believe the staff was at fault. Now, yeah, you can argue you got to play when called upon. So, but before we get into that, let's get into rest of the stats at Wisconsin. Now, his second year, 2021 to 2022, he started all 31 games he played, averaging 34 minutes a night. Now, his field goal percentage went down to 42%, but still not bad. And his 3-point percentage went down to 30%, because if you look at that, and look at his rebounds per game, 8.2, and his points per game went up from 7 to 19.7. So they played him to his strengths. He's not a 3-point shooter, even though he can hit that shot. I mean, Jonas Valanciunas is not a sniper, but he can hit that shot. To have 3-point capability doesn't mean you're that guy that needs to take that last shot, at 3-point. You know what I mean? If you look at the modern NBA, a lot of most players have the capability to hit a 3-point shot, especially if the defense is letting them do it. I mean, so, Jonas Valanciunas, he's far from sniper, but he's a guy who can definitely hit that shot. Alex R, the list goes on. So, Johnny Davis can definitely hit that shot, but that's not his game. If you look at his last year at Wisconsin, 19.7 points per game, you see that potential that his team saw drafted him at 10. Now, a lot of us, was he worthy of the 10th overall pick? You look at his stats in Wisconsin, he may have been, because again, if you round it up, 20 points per game. And again, he's a guy who uses footwork and finesse to set himself up to score. His free throw percentage went from 72% to 79%, so he got better. And if you look at last year, you wanted to see that jump. Now, if you look at last year, or look at his rookie year, 2022 to 2023, he played 28 games, starting 5, averaging 15 minutes per game. Last year, it got worse. He played in 50 games and started in 6, but a lot of his progress was in the second half of the season under who? Head coach Brian Keefe. This was a better team overall. Johnny Davis was a better player under Brian Keefe. So the second half of the question is, can head coach Brian Keefe fix him? Yes, I believe he can. His MO is development. I think that, we asked this question before, and I've said it before, that we're +1. Could Johnny Davis be that player that they move on from? And there was, I think a lot of us said, yeah. But if you look at the factors under Wes Unseld Jr., the fact that they tinker with his shot time and time again, they tinker with what kind of player he was, making him a point guard when he's not a point guard. Can Brian Keefe fix it? Absolutely. And if you look at his potential, he has struggled mightily. And you could definitely argue that, has he lived up? Has he performed when given consistent minutes? Yes and no. Airballing layups, he's had his issues. He's had his Shaq in the fool moments, but I mean, he hasn't averaged any more than 15 minutes a game. So, I mean, you can argue it's the pinch hitter effect, right? It's hard to be a pinch hitter in Major League Baseball because it's hard to sit on the bench all game and then come up to the plate and try to knock a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. You've got to find your rhythm. You got to have those minutes. And I think that you can look at now. The biggest thing is what potential fit. Where do you play him? Because Keyshawn George, and we're going to talk about him in a minute after the preview for the Brooklyn Nets game, that he started last game and he played really good. And I know that he made the comments at Media Day that Bob Carrington kind of said the comment also that he's a guard. He looks at himself as a guard, not a forward, which is 6'8". He's a taller guard. It kind of mirrors Devin Vassell, man. Being a bigger guard, because Devin Vassell could play the 2 and the 3, but he played primarily at the 2 at times. So you can see that scenario, but it's all about fit, right? So you got it. I think that, I don't know, it's tough because who's really up as far as being that player who could potentially be on his way out of town? Look at Patrick Baldwin Jr., but he's shown glimpses. You look at Johnny Davis, but he has shown glimpses. This is a rebuild. It's all about developing young talent. So you don't necessarily have to flip these guys. And, if you look at the guys that we have waived, Leaky Black got waived, Jalen Noel got waived. So we'll see who that one guy is, but I might have changed my opinion a little bit. Give him an opportunity to see what he can do. Yes, you look at his stat line the last couple of years, it is ugly, man. I mean, his points per game went from 5.8 to 3 points per game, but then his minutes went down. But then you look at other factors too. His 3-point percentage went from 24% to 35%, and his field goal percentage went from 38% to 40%. And a lot of that has to do with what? Playing underneath head coach Brian Keefe in the second half of the season. So because you saw he played a lot better this second half of last season, especially when you add one more factor, pushing the pace. He's a guy who, yes, one-on-one basketball, he's not going to blow past anybody, but he is very, very active in transition. Definitely getting those, those angles to drive to the basket. So put him in the best position to succeed and see if they can fix him and give him the season. That's you guys get in the comment section. Let me know what you're thinking. But look, give him a year under Brian Keefe. I've changed my mind. Like I said, I'm a big Johnny fan because of his work ethic. He's a very quiet guy. You can tell that confidence is taking a hit. But I know, and then I was definitely in the camp of, look, man, he hasn't lived up to being 10th overall. You move on. But if you look at those factors dating back to Wes Unseld Jr., maybe you see what Brian Keefe can do if he can fix him. And the same thing with Patrick Baldwin Jr. We're a year 2 in a rebuild. It's all about progression and young talent. It's all about development. And he's a young player. See if they can do it, because his resume speaks for itself, and players that he's not only built into starters and all-stars, but Hall of Famers. I mean, Kevin Durant, come on, first ballot. Russell Westbrook, first ballot. I mean, these are Hall of Fame talent. James Harden, hate him or love him, he's going to be a future Hall of Fame. So give him the year under Brian Keefe and see if they can fix him. And then after that, if he doesn't pan out, then obviously the writing's on the wall with him. But I definitely think that you look to retain him. You see if you can fix him, because he's shown glimpses. Work on, build that confidence up. Put him in the best position to succeed, and you may very well turn his career here in DC around. We'll see. But the ball is also in his court. If they decide to retain him, because look, I understand both sides. I'll definitely understand if they move on from him, but I'll definitely understand if they decide to retain him and see if they can fix him. So, like I said, we will see at the end of preseason which direction they want to go, because right now it's pivotal for him, both him and Patrick Baldwin Jr. to show what they can do, man, because we are +1. So, all right, everybody, we're going to get into tomorrow night's Brooklyn Nets preview, and we're going to look at what is the best lineup. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live, play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You can start with $200 and bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. All right, everybody, let's get back into this. All right, so we're going to look at a quick preview, my 3 things I want to see from tomorrow night's game, and we're going to get into what is the best lineup, man. We've seen 2 different lineups, and 1 got a win and 2 got 2 losses, man, but both of them carry their merit. So we're going to take a look at that. But we'll start with tomorrow night's game, the 4th preseason game in Brooklyn against the Brooklyn Nets, 7:30. So for all you bettors out there, the Brooklyn Nets do have a 2.5 point spread advantage over the Washington Wizards. I don't know how to feel about that, because we're both bad teams, but I think we're better. Injury reports real quick on the Wizards side. Malcolm Brogdon obviously out following his surgery to repair a ligament tear in his right thumb. Looking at the Brooklyn Nets, former Wizard Bogdanovich is out without a return timetable. Let's see. Trent Watford is out with a hamstring injury. He will miss 2 weeks. And Sharp is out as center for them. He will miss at least 6 weeks with a left hamstring strain. So what are the 3 things I want to see from this team tomorrow night? Now, I'm not going to get into Keys victory because we ain't in the regular season yet, but I will get into 3 things I definitely want to see. Number 1, ball movement. Definitely, if you look at scoring option number 1, scoring option number 2, use your offensive game to set people up. Your ability to drive to the basket, get to the free throw line, collapse these defenses, man. Shrink them up. Really spread the floor for this team. Pass the ball around. You still have bad tendencies to a certain degree where, my man JP13, you still see him at times hitting them, shooting transitional threes. And he's hitting some of them, man, but utilize the shot clock. You don't want to get too dependent on jump shooting, man. We see that with JP. We see that with Kyle Kuzma at times. With Bilal, he rushes his shot. And the same thing with, Alex Sarr. He definitely at times can be dependent on his jump shot and rush them. So definitely shoot high percentage shots. Now, if you look at Kyle Kuzma last game, he had the looks. He just didn't drop. He had the looks. So definitely it leads my number 2 point. See Kyle Kuzma continue to be that threat offensively. Utilize your size, man. Whether you play the small forward, whether you play the power forward, use your scoring prowess, man. Use your 6'10" frame to attack. If you get in a groove with your jump shot, take those shots. But if it is not dropping, bring the game inside a little bit, and definitely utilize your situation offensively to get other people involved, because we got to get Bilal involved. We got to get Alex Sarr involved. Depending on who starts, get Keyshawn George involved. Definitely want to get the rhythm going with the starting 5, man. So point number 3, third thing I'm going to see tomorrow night is defense. Make them uncomfortable to shoot. Set up that defensive identity, man. Solidify who we're going to be as a team defensively. close out these shooters, man. Definitely get down the court in transition. Communicate. You know what I mean? Especially mismatches, man. Roll, definitely communicate defensively. In the paint, we got to bring that paint defense up, on the perimeter. Get people's faces, man. Definitely let's be dogs, man. We have a lot more defenders now, but we have to really solidify that defensive identity, man. I think that if we do these three things, we will come out of Brooklyn with the dub. And like I said, preseason is tough, man. I hate preseason because the games don't count, but it's good because you get into a rhythm. I definitely want to see us carry that momentum into opening night because, look, man, it is right around the corner. I'm ready, man. I'm ready for the NBA season to formally start because we're going to look at the Washington Wizards schedule real quick. I mean, opening night is the 24th. So next Thursday, man. So like I said, or the week after next, Thursday, October 24th against the NBA champion Boston Celtics, man. So definitely want to see us carry that momentum over to the regular season. So it starts with this game, and it starts with the final preseason game at home against the New York Knickerbockers. But now we're going to get into a lineup because, like I said, so far in the preseason, we have seen several different lineups. Now, opening night, we saw a lineup of Jordan Poole, Bilal Coulibaly at the 2, Kyle Kuzma at the 3, Alex Hart at the 4, and Jonas Valanciunas at the 5. But with the win, with this previous win, man, against the Raptors, you saw a different lineup. So let's take a look at this lineup real quick. With this starting lineup, Jordan Poole was still starting point, Bilal Coulibaly at the 2, but Keyshawn George stepped up at small forward, and he played well. I'll tell you, he looked really, really good. Now, it slid Kyle Kuzma back to the 4 and Alex Sarr back to the 5. Now, question for everybody tonight is this. Which lineup do you prefer? And do you see a scenario where, depending on certain matchups, could we possibly see both of these lineups as, depending on the matchup? And that's kind of what I want to see from head coach Brian Keefe. A lot more game planning. You didn't see that under Wes Unseld Jr., man. He was stagnant with the lineup. He rolled that same lineup time in and time out, regardless who the opponent was, whether it was the Knicks, the Lakers, or a taller lineup in Cleveland. He rolled the same lineup. You want to see Brian Keefe, and you saw that last year, game planning. Looking at the matchups against the team, man. If it's a taller lineup like the Cleveland Cavaliers, then you roll up a tall lineup to match, right? If it's a smaller lineup, then you can see, especially a team where you want to attack in transition, then you can see a scenario where you definitely see Alex Sarr at 5 because he's a lot more mobile than Jonas Valanciunas. Because look, let's be real, Jonas, man, especially this year, first time talking to him, I like Jonas, man. He's a really funny dude, man. He's definitely he knows what his role is here. But on a physical standpoint, can he still stretch forward with a shot? Yeah. Can he still get in there and be a really good rebounder? Absolutely. Can he still be a defensive presence in the paint? Absolutely. But this team wants to be faster, and he's just, physically, he's at the point where can he hang with a starting 5? With Jordan Poole leading the way. There's times where he's getting older, man. Like I said, his age in real life ain't old, man. He's still a young man. But I mean, in sports, for some reason, once you hit 30 in sports, they look at you like you about to hit 55 to 60. So I mean, it's just you kind of see, physically, he's lost a step, man. In transition, he's definitely a guy where he's gaining a little pounds. He's getting older, man. It just happens when you get old, man. You gain pounds, but he's a guy who can definitely help this team. He can still play at a high level. I made it known that you're going to see some decline, but I think that if you look at a starting 5 where pushing the pace is the MO, you could see a scenario where Alex Sarr may be the 5. Now, even though he wants to play 4, but Alex Sarr again, he said himself, I want to play the 4, but I'll play wherever they put me. I'm here to play, regardless if it's power forward or center. So, like I said, I don't think one lineup replaces the other, but I think in certain matchups, both of these lineups have merit. But you guys get in the comment section. What other lineups or what other people would you slide into the starting 5? What other lineups would you guys like to see? Corey Kispert starting. Do you see a scenario where Jordan Poole and Bob Carrington in the same backcourt? Do you see a scenario where Jordan Poole will be the 6th man? I've seen that, even though I think that he's definitely the starter right now. But you've seen some people kind of bring it to that point. But I think right now the vision is him being that guy. So you guys get in the comment section. Let me know what you guys are thinking, man. So again, we're going to look at the itinerary for this week real quick. But before we do, I'm going to talk to you guys about fantasy basketball. Thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen today. I appreciate y'all, man. For your second listen, find Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Become a fantasy basketball expert and get the edge over your league mates with daily tips from Josh Lloyd. Find Locked On Fantasy Basketball on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. All right, everybody, let's get into it. So again, tomorrow night is preseason game number 5. So definitely want to see them show out and try to get the dub, even though I'm not the biggest fan of preseason, but I do see the use of preseason. So we're going to take a look at the itinerary the rest of the week, everybody, because we are ramping things up for the regular season. So Monday or tomorrow night, that is, we have the Brooklyn Nets. Let me pull up the schedule because they pulled up the managed schedule for some reason. All right, so give me a minute, y'all. Beep, boop, beep. All right, here we go. All right, so again, tomorrow night, 7:30 at Brooklyn against Nets. And then Friday is our final preseason game versus the New York Knickerbockers at home, 7 o'clock, Cat 1. So looking forward this week. And, we're wrapping up the preseason. So we're going to look at some stats. We're going to try to predict some things, some more hot takes. So we got a couple guests coming on this week, man. So definitely tune up for a couple of special guests, man. We're going to have some fun this week. But we're going to look forward at some stats, over and unders, man, make some predictions. And then, again, preseason wraps up Friday night, man. So we definitely going to be starting our weekend off right, man. So, again, we talked about a lot tonight, but you guys get active in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think, man. Who is to blame for Johnny Davis? Is it him? Is it Wes Unseld Jr. and his staff? And do you think that head coach Brian Keefe can fix him? Because I do think so. And then, looking at tomorrow's night, what is your 3 keys to victory, or 3 things you want to see from the Washington Wizards, aka the Wiz Kids versus the Brooklyn Nets? And what, looking at the lineup situation, what lineup do you see best out of these 2? And what other lineups would you guys like to see rolled out by head coach Brian Keefe? So definitely let me know in the comments section. So, all right, everybody, we're going to call ahead at night. I know people are still watching football, man, so I get it. My Commanders lost today, but, man, a lot of football games wowed you today, man. The Cowgirls got blown out, so I'm definitely happy about that. Sorry for all you Cowgirl fans. And the Eagles barely beat the Browns, so look, it was a good day, even though we lost. So, all right, everybody, you guys enjoy your night. Stay blessed. I will see you guys tomorrow night to recap live the Wizards' victory versus the Brooklyn Nets. All right, everybody, peace.